cock, I've broken it.
So, hello YouTubers, I hope you're well and you join me for today's video, which is of the most recent Citroen C1. Now, back in the mid-2000s, Citroen, Peugeot and Toyota all got together and basically decided that they were going to make a city car that was underneath essentially the same as each other's, just with a different body and a different badge. Now, Peugeot came up with the 107, Toyota came up with the Igo, and Citroen came up with this, the C1. Now, this is the second generation model, and it's still called the C1, and it's a pretty nice looking thing. I think it certainly looks a lot better than the original model. And in terms of when it comes to what's underneath the bonnet of this bad boy, you get a choice of two engines. One is a 1 litre 3-cylinder and the other is a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder. Now, if I'm being brutally honest, you can discard the 1 litre because it's just a bit of a waste of time and it has no power. 0 to 60 in over 14 seconds, 60 odd brake horsepower. It's going nowhere. The one to have is this, which is the 1.2 litre 3-cylinder that does 0 to 60 in about 11 seconds, and it just makes it so much more nicer to drive around town, where these cars crucially belong. I mean, I have driven it on the motorway and it's not much to shout about, although this model does come with cruise control. This is a lovely little car, but the question is it actually any good? It looks good, I think, first and foremost, but is it actually the one to buy in the class? Let's dive into the interior and see what's what. When you step inside the C1, you're greeted with quite a pleasant interior. However, not all the optional extras on this model come as standard. For instance, all models do come with 6 airbags and anti-skid control. However, if you go for the basic feel model, you don't even get air conditioning. If you upgrade to the touch model, however, you get this 7-inch touchscreen and aircon, and as well as that, you get height adjustable steering. Not for each, but that's not really a problem with a car this size. However, the one to have is this particular model, which is called the Airscape, and the reason for that is quite simple. With a touch of a button, you can turn your little Supermini into a convertible. It's like having a convertible without actually having a convertible, if that makes any sense at all. And this creates such an ambiance in the car. It creates so much more lighting, so much more sense of space, and it's definitely the one to go for. And because of this little wind deflector at the top there, you can actually drive around with your hairstyle still intact. So this is definitely the model to go for. It is an £850 option, but I think £850 well spent. Step inside the rear of the C1 and problems begin to arise. For instance, I'm not a particularly tall person, I'm only 6 foot, and somebody of my height would absolutely struggle to sustain a long journey in this, or even a short journey. There is literally no rear legroom at all, and that isn't even the worst part. The worst part is the actual headroom, which is non-existent at all. This roof sort of has got a swooping arch to it, and with this electric roof as well, it sort of takes up a bit of room, so there's literally no space for your head. And I appreciate that most people are going to be buying these cars probably have little kids, but even so, that poses problems as well, particularly with this rear door. This rear door doesn't open very far, so if you've got kids, like baby seats coming in and out, that is a bit of an issue. And if you have got kids, you better go for the one with air conditioning, otherwise they're going to be casserole, because this rear window opens like a cat flap. That is pathetic, really. And it's by far not the best when it comes to its class. The Hyundai i10, for example, is a lot more roomier at the back. So you might think in Citroen's quest to sacrifice rear legroom that they've given you a bigger boot, but unfortunately that isn't the case. The boot on this is absolutely tiny and again quite pathetic. And what makes it worse of all really is this stupid parcel shelf. I mean, it is the flimsiest thing I've seen, well, ever really. I don't know what's the matter with a conventional parcel shelf. I don't actually know any C1 owner, and I know a couple, that has actually figured out how this thing goes together. You've got these little ropes and these things, but it's just a waste of time really. I'm not even gonna lie to you. This model does come with split folding rear seats. You only get 4 seats, which I suppose is a slight disadvantage, although a lot of cars are doing this now. But rear boot space is by far not the best in its class either. However, they have saved on some money on cop pricing, because this rear boot is entirely made out of glass, which again saves costs, and I quite like the design of that. So, conclusion time. What do I think of the Citroen C1? Well, I quite like it. I quite like the way it looks. I think the interior is quite nice and French and quite snazzy. Would I buy one? I'm not sure, if I'm being brutally honest. The sunshine roof definitely makes this car, and if you're going to buy one, definitely get one with the roof. For the price, I mean, you can't really go on. They are extremely simple to work on. I've actually serviced one of these cars before. So out of the Citroen, Peugeot and Toyota gang, I'd probably go for this because I have seen the other two and I just generally prefer the styling of this. And yeah, I suppose if you're in the market for a little city car that just, you know, driving around town and everything like that, this is perfect. Low on insurance, low on tax, low on fuel, so you can't really go wrong. I hope that everyone during this crisis is wishing everyone else very well, including the NHS and the amazing support that they are providing. So the key message of this, folks, is to stay well, stay safe, and hopefully the longer we indulge in this, then we can come out of it and then you can actually drive your cars around, which would be great. I mean, I'd love to do that. So I'm going to go inside and wash my hands and change my clothes now, I think. Thank you for listening, and if you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe to the channel, where you'll be able to see future videos and maybe even some podcasts in the near future, given everything that's going on.